Joining us now for more is Cristian Farias, a legal journalist who covers the Supreme Court. Thank you so much for joining us. You were there listening to the arguments in court today. What direction do you think that the court is leaning?
The court is leaning in the direction that the conservative justices seem to go whenever Mr. Trump is implicated. It seems like they're ready to rule that the president enjoys some kind of immunity for the conduct at issue involving the events of January 6th. The question is how expansive the ruling will be. And it seems like they've spent a lot of time trying to decide how broad this ruling will be, because as Justice Neil Gorsuch said, we're writing a ruling for the ages. So they really are looking forward to future presidents being harassed, perhaps by other prosecutors of a different party. And they're trying to avoid that scenario. And for that reason, it looks like perhaps Jack Smith, the special counsel, won't get a chance, depending on how the ruling is written, to be able to take the case to trial before the next election.
What are some reservations the justices expressed about not granting a former president immunity from prosecution?
Well, one of the reservations was, will presidents be looking over their shoulders in the future if they know that a rogue prosecutor might come after them? Does that mean that something that they say if they want to send a letter to Congress or to conceal information from Congress, or just take all these different acts that perhaps are not criminal, perhaps they're a little bit unethical, but they don't rise to the level of criminal behavior, that then someone might take that conduct and then use it against them at a future time? They seem to suggest that such expansive view of prosecution might chill their conduct. And if it chills their conduct, it means that a president won't be able to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, as the Constitution says.
What's one way the justices could resolve this complicated issue in a way that doesn't hamstring future presidents?
Well, if you look at the facts of the case, and at one point, Justice Alito was very specific. I'm not looking at the facts of the case. A number of the more conservative justices didn't want to focus on January 6th proper. And, you know, we all saw with our own eyes what happened on that day. And the special counsel also makes some very specific allegations about the former president trying to maneuver both in Congress and in the different legislatures in Georgia or in Arizona to try to change or alter the results of the elections in those states. But the justices weren't focused on those facts. And I think one easy way for them to resolve this case so that they're not concerned about chilling future presidents is to look at what happened on January 6th specifically. It is possible that they could say, look, yes, sure, a president enjoys some immunity for acts that they commit while in office, but they don't have immunity for subverting the will of the electorate. They don't have immunity to commit election crimes or to deny voters of their rightful choice for president.
What is the timeline for this decision, and how could it impact that trial?
Well, so far, as of today, it has been 147 days since the lower court judge, Tanya Chutkan, in the Federal District of Washington, D.C., ruled that the president doesn't enjoy absolute immunity. That's a long time for Jack Smith. It's a long time for a person who wants to do this speedily before the election, because the reality is that a lot of voters will be casting votes in a matter of months. Some states have early voting. There are people who would like to see what a jury of Donald Trump's peers thinks happened on January 6th, where they determine whether or not that was criminal behavior and if he should be convicted of that. And the fact of today's ruling, if it's a ruling against the special counsel, it looks like it could be months until the trial could happen. In the likelihood that Trump is reelected, using his powers as president, he could easily order the Justice Department or his lawyers to shut down the prosecution, and then there's no case to be had. Right. So for all intents and purposes, a lot of people want this to happen sooner than later. And it looks like, based on today's hearing, that will not happen.
Cristian Farias, we thank you so much for your insight. Really appreciate the time.
Pleasure is mine.